What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome back to MKO Boxing, aka MKO Pugilism, where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like and subscribe on YouTube, follow on TikTok, all that good stuff. So let's get into this one. So now we've got a bit of a silly one now, a bit of news, which is that Jake Paul is going to be taking on Gervonta Tank Davis. And this is going to be happening on the 15th of November, according to a post on Twitter via Ring Magazine. So, it's credible. And this is a weird one because it's not that weird to be fair, because I think Jake Paul has been talking a bit about Tank Davis, and they've had Twitter back and forths, I think, over the past couple of years. So it's weird, as in the sizes of the two guys is just ridiculous. I think Jake Paul's about 6'3" or 6'2", somewhere thereabouts, and he's about a sort of cruiserweight in terms of his fighting. And you've got Gervonta Tank Davis, who's a 135-pounder, and he's only 5'5", and exceptional boxer Gervonta Tank Davis. And this is a bit of a weird one, but I have heard it talked about before. Prior to this, the big talk was about Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul, and you had Jake Paul's manager coming on talking about Anthony Joshua. I think it was on Talksport. It was either Talksport or Ariel and Ade. One of those shows. His manager was on there, sort of talking about Joshua, and I've heard Jake himself talking about Gervonta Davis and stuff like that. And so, yeah, this is one of those that it is cartoonish. It is silly. It's meant to be an exhibition. That's what is advertised as. Um, there's not really much else in terms of details about this thing. I mean, the biggest detail that we need to see is what weight is this going to be fought at? I mean, because there's no way that, I mean, I don't think Gervonta Davis can even get anywhere near. I mean, he might walk around at 168 or 170 or whatever, but you know, if he does any training, the guys, he might get as high as maybe 140, 150, but at the most, the guy's 135-pounder. So I don't know what sort of weight they're gonna do. They're probably just gonna have to do some weird thing where they just ignore the weight. I think that's what they're gonna just have to forget about the weight and just call it some sort of open class where there's no weight, or whatever. So yeah, it's a weird one. I don't know how it's gonna work. It's an exhibition. I mean, I think there will be, as much as there's an enormous gap in skills and know-how and everything in favor of Gervonta Davis. He's super skillful and everything, but at the same time, you're in there with a guy that's about double your weight. You're in there with a huge, with a big guy. Yeah, he probably not much danger for Gervonta Davis, but there may be a little bit of danger, I think, just based on the size, the weight, the strength, and whatever we say about Jake Paul. He's a big guy. He's 200 pound or whatever, and if he hits you on the chin, even if you are around his size, it's gonna hurt. And you know, a little guy like Tank, okay, yeah, they're tough as a boxer, but you're still a little guy, still a small guy. So there's no danger there really in terms of skill, but I think in terms of just size and weight and everything, just simple science tells you the big man like that hits you, you're going to be in trouble. So there's a tiny bit, I suppose, of danger there for Gervonta Davis, and it'll be really, really weird to see what happens. But I'm pretty sure if they stick that on Netflix, millions and millions and millions are gonna watch, because Gervonta Tank Davis is a big guy in boxing. He's got a big fan base. He's got people that support him no matter what, and he's one of the most popular fighters in boxing. You know, second only to guys like Canelo and people like that. But excuse me, outside of a guy like Canelo, Tank is like around there or thereabouts. He's in that sort of conversation in terms of at least popularity and people knowing him. Um, but yeah, it's a silly idea, but I think it's a silly idea that will work and that will sell and that will have millions of people watching. I think the negative side of it is that it's a mismatch in terms of the weights, and you've also got people like Lamont Roach and other guys that are out there sort of waiting for their shot that are being ignored while Tank is taking on a ridiculous fight. And even Lamont Roach come out and said it. You know, I told you this guy's a ducker, blah blah blah. And people have responded to Roach and said, "Well, Tank's getting money. What are you doing?" But that's not the point. This boxing is a sport, and you can say, yeah, he's getting money. Of course, you can get money. You could go WWE and get more money for doing foolishness and doing wrestling. You could get more money doing that. But the point is that this is about boxing, and when you're in boxing, you're a world champion. You're on that level. Your job is, yes, it's partially about getting money, but it's also about proving yourself by beating the best guys that are around, beating the guys with the belts, and becoming understood. That should be what it's about. But yeah, clearly with Gervonta Davis, it's about money. It's about a money grab, and it's strange because had he fought the other champions in his weight division, he would have made a fortune anyway. But this is going to be unprecedented if this goes ahead with Jake Paul. I think for me, it's a silly idea. It's a joke of a fight, but I see it as dollar signs and it's going to make a lot of money. So let me know what you think. And until next time, it's MK Boxing over and out.